To dry lanes. By Wrangler, American Hero Jeans. And by Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. And now let's meet tonight's top 5 finalists. Starting from the bottom rung, it's 56-year-old Bob Kwolek of Dayton, Ohio. His opponent in the opening match will be left-hander Doug Johnson of Long Beach, California. Starting from the number 3 position this week, it's 51-year-old John Handegard of Redding, California. And making his 3rd consecutive appearance in the championship round, it's Jimmy Certain qualifying in the runner-up position. And, of course, nailing down the top seed this week. After averaging better than .221 for 36 games, it's 54-year-old Les Zikes of Palatine, Illinois. And welcome, everyone, to the Hall of Fame City, Hall of Fame Lanes here in Canton, Ohio for the championship round finals of the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. And without question, this has become the most prestigious event for the PBA seniors. The winner this evening will collect a check worth $16,000 and also a trip up the road to Riviera Lanes, entry to the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And while we're on that subject, working with me once again, a man who has won more Firestones than any other player in the history of professional bowling, Mike Durbin. And Mike, without question, the PBA Senior Tour just continues to grow and grow.
It certainly does, Denny. Just a short time ago, in 1981, we had our first seniors event in New Orleans, Louisiana. We had 60 entries in that tournament. In this tournament this week, we had 146 entries. And you have to be a member 5 years in order to enter this tournament. So we have just an enormous amount of new bowlers bowling in the senior program, and it's very healthy, Denny.
All right, let's check out the starting lineup now. Bob Kwolek of Dayton has had a lot of success in this particular bowling center.
He certainly has. Back in 1985, he finished second here. That was the closest he'd ever come to winning a PBA title, but Billy Walden just edged him out. He's serious, though, Den. He was in practicing this afternoon. He's got to win 4 games tonight. It's going to be tough for him, but he's getting ready.
Doug Johnson, his appearance here this evening, he becomes the oldest player in the history of the PBA to make a championship round appearance at 61. Is that a detriment?
No, I don't think it is, although it's a marvel, I think, making it at 61. You know, this is a bit of a rematch. They bowled each other, Kwolek and Johnson, back in 1984, and Johnson at that time bowled an all-spare game. He bowled 181, an all-spare game. So I don't know if he's looking to win tonight or just get some strikes.
John Handegard qualifies number 3, an excellent player who has come up short on the national tour. This might be his night.
Well, he's come up short on television. He's 1-6 in championship round play. And we saw last week that he just had trouble adjusting and getting lined up quick enough. And I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to read those lanes right away, get lined up, and make the quality shots when he needs to.
And if you were going to drop a sawbuck down on one of the top 5 finalists, it just might be the gentleman from Huntsville, Alabama, Jimmy Certain. He's had the hot hand.
Oh, he certainly has had the hot hand. He's bowled in 3 senior events. He's finished first, second, and now he's qualified second here. He lost the last game last night, or he would have been the tournament leader here. He's really on a roll. He's in that good position like he was in Las Vegas. Gets a chance to bowl that opening game. If he wins on, gets by that, you know, then he's ready for that championship match. Look out for him tonight.
And without a doubt, the low point in Les Zikes' career last week in the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championship, all he needed was a mark to have his team move on to game number 2, and he blew the spare. What's going to happen here tonight?
Well, I don't know. It was an embarrassing moment for Les, but he seems to have overcome that to come back and lead this tournament. You know, I was talking to his wife, Mary Kay, and she said she was very nervous for this tournament, but Les was very confident. So maybe it's worked to his favor, you know, and he's put that behind him, and he's going to win tonight.
Well, we're ready for some outstanding championship round pay. The seniors are ready to shoe it up here at the Hall of Fame Lanes in Canton, Ohio. Opening match coming up next between Bob Kwolek and Doug Johnson. Stay tuned.
There's a level of performance that separates the good from the great. That's why Carmen Salvino designed the Ebonite Thunderbolt. The exclusive power core increases gyroscopic action for a sharper hook on heavy oil. And the Thunderbolt rolls farther before hooking, so it hits harder for less deflection and more striking power. The difference between good and great is the power of the Thunderbolt.
It's great. They fixed up that old truck, went out for the big driving lesson. You know, they'll never forget this day as long as they live.
Here's to fathers and sons, first-time driving lessons and comfortable blue jeans. Wrangler. the fastest growing name in auto parts today. Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. Need engine gaskets? Felpro has engineered the best quality engine gaskets available. And Felpro gasket sets include all the parts to get the job done right. Felpro gasket sets are available for import as well as domestic vehicles.
When you need to know about auto parts, ask the pro at Pronto.
And welcome back to the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio for the championship round finals of the $115,000 Ebonite Senior Championship. Bob Kwolek on your left, Doug Johnson on the right. And we kidded Doug a little before the telecast at 61, the oldest player ever to make it to the championship round. And he's looking for a strike here in the first frame. Had an all-spare game in his last trip to the championship round.
I feel good, Denny, because the first time we've had a telecast where the guys have been older than me.
Rolls up right through the nose. He leaves the 2-8. 8-pin wiggles a little bit, but not what Doug was hoping for.
A little soft for that speed, a little nervous. Even at age 61, you get nervous when you're on television. Haven't been there for a few years.
And, of course, he is a super senior. 3 super seniors qualifying in the top 24. Those are players that are 60 years and older.
New division that we've had this year. We paid 3 places to the super seniors that didn't cash or make more money in the regular division. First place in the super seniors was $1,200. Second was $1,000, and third was $800.
Bob Kwolek knocked down a few pins this week. Match play record 9-9, high game 277, and that was on the championship round pair.
Nice place to have it. Right in there.
Picking up right where he left off. He also shot a 203 game, so his average on lanes 39 and 40 here in Canton, 240.
Not a bad average. Bob holds the ball out there, 5 steps, doesn't move the ball. Now he kind of just drops it down. And very steady. Time is a little early at that point, but as he gets to the top here, it is still slightly early. That upright style enables him to get it out on the lane because that ball has a tendency to want to beat him to the line.
Kind of stays with that shot, rolls up, looks for the 10-pin to fall, a little nudge.
He didn't like that release. He just, the thumb and fingers are out basically all at the same time there. Didn't have the good roll, even though he had good loft, and the ball made it back, but didn't hit very hard. Cross lane at the 10-pin with a different ball.
So it's a spare up in the second for Bob Kwolek. Doug Johnson, the only left-hander on the telecast this evening.
And he was up there all week long. He bowled steady. People were sitting in the back really expecting him to fall and to fade, and he never did.
Short backswing. This one rolls up, and he strikes.
All right!
Didn't think it was ever going to happen.
His first strike on national television. Holds the ball waist high. Pushes it down. Left foot, he just kind of walks away from it. 4 steps, very short backswing, which usually means guys with short backswings are usually accurate, Denny. Doesn't mean that they have a lot of power, but usually they're accurate. Trying for a double.
Set that one down early and didn't like it when it left.
Steered that one, did he? Just wanted that double so badly that he just steered it in there. Good break.
We know he can shoot spares. So does Kwolek.
While he's checking the rack out.
Boy, he's intense, Bob Kwolek. Came so close to winning this championship back in 1985, he could almost taste it.
In that particular match, he finished with the last 6 or 7 in a row to shoot in the 230s and forced Billy Walden to get the first strike in the 10th to beat him, which Walden did.
Yeah.
A little better roll. Got that kick on the 10 that time.
That was the break he was looking for. Brings a smile to his face.
Replay of this last shot. We get the camera working. And watch the 6-pin. Second from the right. Goes to the side and just gives it a little nudge and a tap.
And we're looking for the first double in the match. Kwolek here in the fourth, and we're all tied up.
Looks good. Oh, it snapped right at the end. 6, 7, 10. He thought it was going to hold pocket. It just didn't. A little angry.
Frustrated with himself. Realized that if he threw a double there, he'd take the advantage in the match. Now he has to try and convert the 6, 7, 10.
He's going for it.
Plenty of room.
Oh, great shot.
Well, this is how they diagram it, Mr. Durbin. You just slide that 6-pin right over into the 7.
He's watching it here. He knows he's got a chance. Come on, come on. All right. Took a long time to fall.
You can teach your kids the fun of football from the right techniques to the right attitude with the help of a great coach and ESPN Home Video. Michigan football coach Bo Schembechler teaches safe and fun basics of football from offense to defense and practice drills. A free phone call gets you started.
Are we ready, men? Good. All right. Now, set your feet, set your feet. Step in the ground. Hey, that was good.
Teaching Kids Football is just one of the many Teaching Kids videos available from ESPN, all featuring proven methods from famous coaches. To order Teaching Kids Football for just $29.95, call 1-800-841-8900. Ask the operator about our other Teaching Kids videos and save $5 when you order 2. You'll also receive a free ESPN Home Video catalog. Teaching Kids Sports is child's play with ESPN Home Video.
Here we are at Hall of Fame lanes, and we're going to see Bob Kwolek making the 6, 7, 10. Right now, he's thinking it's got a chance. It's got a chance. Now, is the pin going to hit it? Is it going to fall? Yes.
Marvelous shot by Kwolek.
Sometimes that can be demoralizing to your opponent, too. See how Johnson reacts to that.
Comes out, gives it a little flip, ball rolls up, and he comes back and says, well, it was a nice shot, Bobby boy, but I'll strike on the right hand.
I'd rather have 10 than 7 any day.
Oh,
yeah.
Plus the count's better. Match still even now through 3 frames.
Out left of that second arrow. The ball rolls up just flush in the 1-2 pocket. He's watching it, and he gives it a little jump. At 61, you don't get too far off the ground. There.
Nope, nope.
Looking for his first double.
Key shot that time for Johnson, who comes back after the commercial break, and that's always the telltale.
Many times it is. You know, people have a tendency to lose their concentration at that time. Personally, I always liked it because my heart was beating so fast to give me a chance to settle down.
And maybe grab a cool drink of water. So Kwolek now trails for the first time in this one.
Perfect on lane 40. His trouble's been with 39. That's where he doesn't have to finish on that. Yes, he does. He does finish on lane 30.
Well, he left the soft 10 in the second, of course, cut right through the nose in the fourth. Do you think he made an adjustment between the second and the fourth, Mike?
No, I don't think he did.
Just slowed up a little bit on the speed? Well, let's see if he's a little firmer with his shot.
I think he thought the ball was going to hold, and it didn't do it. Gave him more room. Too much room. He's just struggling on that lane now. And he's running out of frames to figure it out. He's having trouble reading his reaction. He gives it more room out around the 8th board. Will it hook back? He's hoping. No. One pin has to hit the 2, remember, in order to get a strike.
Pretty fortunate to leave just the 2.
Yes, he was.
All right, so a spare up for Kwolek in the 6th, and he has the Dutch 200 game going.
Which he doesn't like. It'll be interesting to see his next adjustment on lane 39, whether he moves back aboard right to try and get the ball up.
Pins crackling in the background belong to John Handegard, who's number 3 seed, preparing for match number 2. Doesn't bother the players in the championship round at all. They're used to listening to pins fall. Johnson with 3 in a row, and oh yes, also the great southpaw Earl Anthony. He was chatting with Doug Johnson during the practice round here today.
And there has never been a better left-hander, maybe never a better bowler.
Oh no,
the history of our game than Earl Anthony.
Yeah, defending champion. I think he finished up 16th this week.
Had trouble knocking down all 10. Left a lot of 7 pins.
And this is to take a commanding lead here in the opening game.
Got away with the tried to shove it in there with a little extra speed. The ball wouldn't hold. He left just the 6-10. He's happy with that. Wasn't his best shot.
Doug this week with a match play record of 11 wins and 7 losses. His high game, 279. The low effort this week, 173.
Very steady all the way through.
Well, average 218.4. And so Johnson leads by 18. And when we return, Bob Kwolek will try and come from behind here to advance in the Ebonite Seniors Championship.
Fact, a very big sale is now happening at your GMC truck dealer with over 80,000 new 1989 light-duty GMC trucks across the country. Fact, GMC Truck has made it easy for you to buy with a nationwide total of $68 million in cash back and dealer incentives. Fact, it's called the Big Easy Sale. Now, one more fact that really makes it the Big Easy. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
For the fight, for the drive, for pushing hard. Each time you try, for the heroes staying true, for the team for coming through this blood for you.
In '88, she won her 3rd consecutive world title and 10th world championship. She's Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser.
This blood for you.
In September, celebrate ESPN's 10th anniversary. From Big Ten battles to Ivy League tradition, the fall colors are spectacular on college football Saturdays. See highlights of every NFL game played that day on NFL Primetime. Your wildest dreams come true with computerized matchups of football's greatest teams ever on NFL Dream Season. Plus, daring drivers tear up the track with NASCAR and IndyCar excitement. Celebrate in September on ESPN.
And it's obviously a family affair. Marcia standing by, her husband down 18 pins here midway through game number 1.
Having no trouble on lane 40. He's got to figure out 39.
But in order to double, he's got to get this one.
On that lane, he's had every hit just like that, as Marcia approves.
He'd have been great in the senior touring pro doubles. You only have to bowl on one lane in that event.
Right. Picked the wrong tournament, did he?
Yeah. Instead of that being a Vera Papa 300, that would have been a Durban 300 because you used to strike all the time on one lane and have no idea what happened on the other.
That's right. They used to call me the best one-alley bowler on the tour.
So Kwolek trying to double up and cut the lead to 8.
Big shot right here.
Bit of a bad break there. 5-pin dancing all the way around the 7. Good adjustment, nice shot, and he comes up with a 9 count.
Ultimate thing is, though, he didn't double. Doug Johnson's lead is still 18, assuming that Bob makes this spare.
It's funny we kid about that, but that's what makes bowling, I think, such a challenging game. One lane you can get locked in on, and then the other one you have no idea.
Oh, that happened to me since I started bowling. It's just part of the nature of the game here. There's his shot on lane 40, and it's right over about, right, split the second arrow. And on 39, I think he'd be a little bit further right. Back alive.
Yeah, at least a couple of boards. And Doug Johnson strikes in the 8th. 18-pin lead, and he can all but send Mr. Kwolek packing if he strikes here.
But if he doesn't strike here, Denny, Kwolek can still strike out for 220. Right now, Doug has only had one strike on lane 39. Back in the 5th frame. And Kwolek has had none. Tries to increase speed. Left just the 6-pin.
Dorothy looks on, and with approving eyes, at least she realized he hit the pocket with that shot. If he spares up here, game in the possible 220s if he would end up taking it off the sheet, but he probably won't need that much.
Well, you never know. Again, Kwolek is still has a potential score of 220. Right now, Doug Johnson is going at a 218 pace as he converts the 6-pin. So if Bob would strike all the way out, he would force Doug to double in the 10th to win.
He's thrown many a pressure double in his career. There you see going for the collar on lane 39, 0 for 4.
And the splits there, the brackets indicating, I guess, conversion.
Ah, I like that. Is it 5 in a row on the right-hand lane? No. The 2-4-5 remains, and that's his first mistake on lane 40.
Now he'll probably hit 39.
Yeah. Well, if he would spare and strike out, a game of 207.
He would force Doug Johnson to mark. 2-4-5, not an easy spare. No trouble. We get a shot from the front, watching his release here. Head very steady. Sure couldn't tell anything was wrong from watching from the front there. Nice style that Bob has. Just gave it a little bit too much room.
Trails by 21. Left the soft 7 the last trip on 39. Let's see if he can finally strike on this lane. Well, you hit the nail on the head, Mr. Durbin. You know he's going to strike in the 10th when he missed the right-hand lane in the 9th.
It just happened so many times, and he's smiling because it's happened to him in his career hundreds of times.
Better late than never, though. At least you'll walk away thinking, you know, I did finally figure that left-hand lane out.
He hasn't lost the game yet, Dan. I mean, he gets one more here, and he makes Mr. Johnson mark.
Shot in the 11th, so you have to give credit where credit is due. Kwolek bounces back, and you're right. He'll force Doug Johnson to mark.
Well, a strike gives him 207. If he gets 9 pins, let's see if I had right. Johnson would need a mark then. He could, if he missed a square, if he got 9 and missed a square, we'd have a tie. So he needs at least 9. And it's 10.
Boy, absolutely perfect in the 10th. Nice smile and a wave for Bob Kwolek, who is giving it that Harold Henning wave. I think he's waving goodbye, but may not be the case.
I didn't see Doug Johnson smiling at all.
And he certainly knows what he needs to win. He gazed up at the board before he stepped up in the 10th.
Never a doubt.
Well, at 61 years of age, the clutch shot provided, and with one more, he'll shoot a game in the 220s. So Kwolek bows out with a 5th place finish, and a nice comeback indeed for the Dayton native.
Interesting, not an open between the two bowlers. One split. And he's going to have 7 strikes on this right lane with one more.
He's like a machine out there.
Interesting. He's going to bowl 228 with 8 strikes.
Well, it just goes to show you, too, you don't have to strap that thing and throw it hard and give it lots of revolutions. All you got to do is throw it in the pocket, although he misses it there. Well, A superb game for Doug Johnson as he wins 224 to 207, and he'll move on to meet John Handegard. But before we get to game number 2, we need to head to Dan Patrick at Sports Center for a special updated report on the Pete Rose story.
Welcome back to our ESPN studios. I'm Dan Patrick, and if reports out of New York are true, chances are A. Bartlett Giamatti and Pete Rose will finally get a restful night of sleep. Because, according to sources, Pete Rose and the commissioner of baseball have struck a deal. Rose will be suspended for betting on baseball. Maybe a year, it will not be for life. We will have more on this story coming up on Sports Center at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bowling continues right after this.
At Vic, we've been studying all the ways that you pull and stretch your face in search of a better shave. Now Vic presents our solution, introducing the new Vic Metal Shaver. The patented Vic Metal stretches and smooths your skin thanks to its unique metal guard bar, so the shaver glides closely and comfortably. Now, instead of stretching, start reaching for a new Vic Metal Shaver. It stretches your skin for a better shave, and that's no stretch.
And let's take a look at the tournament stats this week. All bowlers just a fraction ahead of 200. Lefties with a slight advantage over the righties.
How could it be any fairer than that? I mean, you look at that, it's perfect if we drew it up a certain way. Average to cash, 203, 210 to make the top 24.
Size of the field, a whopping 146. A bunch of 200 games tossed this week. And if I'm not mistaken, Glenn Carlson provided the 779.
Had a real hot stretch there. Got him back into the tournament. He was sitting around even, and he shot that. Here's some of the big games. Allison with 299.
Handegard, who was up next in his championship with a near-perfect 290 game. And Glenn Allison, Mr. 300. Well, it wasn't quite this week. It was at 289.
He had some big games. You wonder how he finished down at the bottom. I think he finished 22nd.
And, of course, Weber leading the pack as well with a 289 game. So some big games provided by the seniors this week. And now it's time to take a look at the average builders. Mike Durbin with a special edition this week. Give you an idea of what you need to bowl well, whether it's on the national tour or in your own bowling league.
When I started bowling, it was the 1950s, and they still had pin boys. They had overground ball returns. And about the only thing they had to help bowlers keep their hands dry and feel good was there was some chalk at the back end of the approach that I could wipe my hand in and then a towel to clean my hand off with. Nowadays, though, bowlers have a variety of different accessories that can help them bowl better and improve their game. And that's what we're going to look at for tonight's average builder. We're going to look at the different bowling accessories that are available to you to help improve your game. Now, the first thing any of us may want to do before we go out to bowl is to make sure that we're not going to get some blisters. And the way we do that is we patch up with some nylon patches here and this clear liquid. I put the nylon patch on my thumb and then apply the clear liquid, and it helps protect the thumb during the entire length of my bowling that particular evening, whether it's 3 games or 6 games. Next, I'd like to have you look at some of the different gloves that are available for bowlers today. This is one that Pete Weber is making very popular. The fingers go in all the way up, and your fingers are protected right here. He doesn't get the natural feel of the skin against the ball because his fingers go all the way in here. What this does is protect his fingers against blisters. Now, for those of you, though, that want to feel your skin against the ball, they have a glove here where the fingers go in, and my fingers stick through, and I can feel the ball. Another type of glove is one that Don Carter made very popular here. It has a little pad on this side that goes between the palm of my hand and the ball. This has been around for 25 years. Now, another thing that's available here is something to help absorb the perspiration on my wrist and protect it when I put on a different wrist device. I put this on like so, and then when I put on this particular wrist device, which is to help me hook the ball supposedly, let me get it straight here. Snap this on like this, and I'm protected against pinching, and as my hand perspires during the course of the evening, this thing in here takes care of that perspiration. This particular wrist device helps me keep my wrist straight. See, I can't move it back here, and when I turn it, it keeps it from breaking, and then supposedly I'll get more fingers in the ball. There are other wrist devices here. This one right here helps me turn the ball more, and I get more hook. As a thing where my finger sticks all the way up here. Another one helps me stay behind the ball. This little thing here, my finger stick against it like so, helps me stay behind the ball longer and maybe throw it a little bit straighter. And of course, we couldn't survive without a towel to wipe the oil from the ball. Now this is just the beginning. Right here is what we call an accessory bag, or some of them call it a ditty bag. And it's just loaded with things. Now I'm going to open it up and we're going to take a look at it and go through some of the things that are in here. No bowler could survive nowadays without a rosin bag, and there's all different kinds of rosin bags. This one helps me just absorb the perspiration on my hand. This one does basically the same thing. It absorbs that perspiration. But they have other kinds of rosin bags. These two right here, as I open them up, if I can get it open here, and put my fingers in, it forms like a sticky substance on my fingers that helps me lift the bowling ball. This one does basically the same thing. Put these aside. We'll look in here and see what else we have. Oh, yes. A name tag. This goes on my bag, and I can attach it and put it right on my bag so I don't lose it at the airport or someplace. Here we have a Scotch-Brite pad. Maybe I've got too much oil on the ball and I need to wipe it off. By the way, in PBA competition, this is illegal. You can do it before the block starts, but you can't do it during the bowling. What else we have here? Oh, yeah. Finger grips. Different types of finger grips that are inserted into the finger holes that help me lift the ball. My finger goes in here. You know, this is inserted and glued into the bowling ball, and it helps me get more lift on the ball. What else? Oh, yeah. Here we go. Shoelace, in case my shoelace breaks during the course of the block. We have cotton. If you prefer cotton and new skin to patch up with instead of the nylon patches. Then we have some of the individual grips that we have. The old cork grip, it's the sure hook. Marshall Holman uses this. You put this in front of the thumb hole, and your thumb fits on it like so, and it helps you hold onto the ball better. Then they have other grips. This is a slicked one right here. This can go in the back of the thumb hole so that when I am having trouble getting out of the ball, the thumb slips off here. And one other use it has is if I run into sticky approaches, I can take this and put it on the heel of the shoe, rather, and it helps me slide better. Let's see what else I've got in here. One other grip, yeah, right here is a rough one. If I want a rough feel on that thumb right here, that'll take care of that. All right. Tape, the old Curity tape right here. And if we don't like Curity tape, now they have pre-cut tape for us that I can just pull off this tape like so, stick it in the thumb hole, and it's ready to go. Put that aside. Oh, yeah. This is if my opponent gets too good. No, this is to bevel the thumb hole or the finger holes if it feels sharp or something during the course of the block. Carmen Salvino uses this all the time, almost every time he goes out to bowl. What else do I have here? One more type of rosin bag. Another one that helps my fingers feel firm and tacky. And that's it. I'm all out of stuff. I don't see anything else in here. Well, that does it. That takes care of all the different accessories. Now, my advice to you is that you don't rush out and buy all of these all at once, but some of these might help your game. I've used probably most of these at one time or another during my career. But remember, these things are great and they can help improve your game, but there's no substitute for practice. So my advice to you is the winter season is approaching here and the winter leagues are starting. Just get yourself out there and practice a few games and see if that doesn't help your game too. We'll see you again next week when we'll have another average builder.
Well, without question, everything but the kitchen sink involved with the average builders there. Coming up next, let's see if these two gentlemen will utilize that tip. Doug Johnson and third seed John Handegard next in line here at the Hall of Fame Lanes in Canton, Ohio.
Showtime is so hot this summer, the competition won't be able to stand the heat. Showtime's hot fun includes lots of big hits like Bull Durham, Married to the Mob. You won't see those on HBO. You'll also see Big Business, Rambo 3. You won't see those on HBO either. So sign up now for Showtime's hot fun. Showtime exclusives. Here you see them, there you don't.
It started in Japan in 1907 and became one of the most respected automobile companies in the world, Daihatsu. Nearly 1 million vehicles a year, sold in over 130 countries. Cars, trucks, and utility vehicles of incredible quality at an affordable price. Daihatsu's reputation for reliability is well known throughout the world. See Daihatsu today, one of the most respected names in Japan for over 80 years. Daihatsu.
John Handegard and Doug Johnson in game number 2. Johnson disposing of Bob Kwolek, 224 to 207. We're here on the championship round pair at 39 and 40 at the start of game number 2. And we have a special guest up in the booth, the PBA's commissioner, Joe Antonora, PBA office just down the road in Merriman Road in Akron, Ohio. Excellent shot by Handegard. And Joe, it's nice of you to stop by and spend a little time with us this evening.
Thank you, Denny. My pleasure.
Good opening shot there for Handegard. I know we watched him in practice, Michael. He looked pretty solid.
He looked very solid. Plus, he's done a very intelligent thing, is he's making Doug Johnson finish on the left lane where he only got 1 strike.
Excellent shot for Johnson, who just keeps rolling along.
6 strikes on that lane in the first game, and he starts right out by smashing him down on lane 40.
Joe, in the open, Mike and I talked about the very first PBA Seniors event back in '81 in Harvey, Louisiana, and boy, the tour has just continued to grow and grow. What about 1990?
Well, 1990 looks like a continuation, Denny. We have plans at the moment for 8 to 10 tournaments for 1990.
I know all the seniors out there very happy to hear that, indeed. Of course, the winner this week goes to the Firestone, and oh my, you won't do that leaving 7-9 splits.
Well, he tried to increase that speed, you know, and he just forgot to get the good lift that time, and the ball rolled up to hit the pocket, but just didn't hit very hard. And you don't see that very often anymore. You're going to take a look at it. Just didn't lift it like he wanted to, as we see him make the spare, or attempt the spare. Now we're going to get a look at it. Watch the ball deflect, and the 5-pin go in front of the 9, and the 4-pin doesn't get the 7. That's how you leave the 7-9. I know I left enough 8-10s in my career.
5-pin's supposed to take out the 9.
Right.
Or
Ball
the 8 if you're right-handed.
Right.
Handegard, with a slight adjustment and wrist position last night, has made all the difference in his game. Rolls up nicely in the pocket, and he leaves the soft 10 here on lane 40.
And it's amazing, the adjustment that he made. You see how his wrist is broken right there at the beginning? Now, you would think that would weaken the shot and hurt him. But what that did was get a more consistent reaction to where if he threw the ball to the flat, see how pretty he looks going on the line? You know, the ball rolled back even. It raised his roll, and the ball didn't overreact. Before that, it was spinning out and hooking too early if you threw it wide. Uh-oh. I thought he was in trouble. I didn't know he was going to hook back or not.
Stays with that one. Joe, without question, Janet Bueller, the proprietor here at the Hall of Fame lane, she's probably done more to procure the success of the senior tour than virtually any proprietor in the country.
Without question, Denny, she's just been a great host, and this has been a great place for us to bring potential sponsors.
And there you see a Hall of Fame lady in the Hall of Fame city, Janet Bueller. Just a marvelous host, really rolls out the red carpet for the pros, and she does it from the heart, not necessarily from the bankroll, I can tell you that. Handegard right back at him, and it appears that he likes 39 more than 40.
Well, he picked the finish on lane 40, though, didn't he? And you might mention, you know, this time last year, Janet was recovering from injuries and an accident, and she's back in full health and good health right now, looking very well.
I'm told, Joe, that before long that the seniors may have to go to a rabbit squad because there are so many players wanting to get into the tournaments.
That's absolutely correct, Denny. Could happen in 1990.
My question is, are they rabbit squads or dinosaur squads at that point?
Well, I think we'll call them rabbits.
Oh, I'm going to get into trouble for that one.
You certainly are.
Guys, it was only a joke. I was only kidding. And Mike, you're only a year away. I would never call you a dinosaur.
No, you just think it, that's all.
How about gray rabbits? How's that? No? Just kidding. Guys have performed so well. Of course, last week the touring professionals didn't throw as many strikes as the seniors did in Buffalo, and I took a lot of heat for my guests there. Johnson in the 4th rolls up, and he comes back and throws a strike. So, Doug Johnson at this point trailing by 2, doubles up in the 3rd and the 4th. So he's on the comeback trail here in the Hall of Fame city.
never saw you hit so well. I'm here in 3, you're here in 1. Ah, Phil.
Yeah, how'd you do, Jack?
In 3, out in 3. What are you doing? You're playing your best golf, and every time I look up, you're staring at TV. Saturday cartoons make you so good?
It's a special Golf Digest instructional video. The Golf Digest schools pulled 10 instant golf lessons from their 10-cassette collection.
Graphics, instruction, real professional advice, 10 instant lessons.
A half hour of the best stuff for a golfer.
It's priceless.
It's free.
Free?
With my subscription to Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $16.77. Call 800-348-3300 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-348-3300 now.
Only one player from a field of 16 can win in a final tune-up before the U.S. Open. Coverage continues of the Hamlet Challenge Cup, Saturday and Sunday afternoon, live on ESPN.
Certainly not raining on anyone's parade here at the Hall of Fame lanes, but that's a lovely pendant given by the senior players to our host, Janet Bueller.
Gordy Coletti came around and got a donation from every player this week and went out and purchased that to give it to Janet because that's what they think of her.
The thing I can't understand is that Coletti, there's no way he can be a senior. He can't be 50 years old. Is he, Joe?
He is almost 70.
Well,
very shortly.
Yeah. He's not only a super senior, he's an unleaded senior as well, probably. Still running them out, Mr. Coletti. Well, Handegard right now with a strike up in the third, leading by 2 pins. Well, that one hooked early on the right-hand lane, or did he just tug it?
He just tugged it all the way. He wanted to get that ball up, didn't have the confidence that he could knock out that weak 10 with a half-pocket hit, and wanted to stuff it in there, and he just pulled it.
Joe, your thoughts about the fact that whoever wins this event gets a year of eligibility in the Firestone Tournament of Champions?
Well, I think it's appropriate, Denny. They beat the best senior players in the world. I think they deserve it.
Of course, many of these players have bowled in the Firestone Tournament of Champions through the years at one time or another. Obviously gives them even that much more incentive to play for them.
It does, but it's interesting that the winner last year, Earl Anthony, gave up his spot in the Tournament of Champions and allowed a touring player who turned out to be Amleto Monticelli to bowl in that tournament.
There you see graphically how close this one really is. Johnson winning the opening game, 224-207 over Bob Kwolek. Next in line, Jimmy Certain. Top seed this week, Les Zikes. Better speed on that shot.
Leaves the 8-pin. 5-pin went right in front of the 8. Watch it. Playing about the 8th board. The ball come in half pocket. Now watch the 5. The pin immediately behind the head pin. And it goes in a hurry right in front of that 8-pin.
Nearly a strike ball shot to pick up the 8, so it's a spare up in the 5th frame for Handegard, and now the match closer yet.
And Doug Johnson, who's had 8 out of 9 strikes on this right lane, can take the lead with one more.
Looked like you shut it down a tad early for me.
Right. It didn't look like you got it out of the lane like you had some of the other shots, right?
Well, you must have a little room on the right-hand lane. Joe, what about the response of the proprietors throughout the country, those that have hosted the senior events as compared to the touring players?
Well, I think they both have their attractions, Denny. They're each have appeal to a certain audience, and they've both been very positive.
Bowling fans of all ages, shapes, and sizes with an opportunity to watch the pros. Oh, Johnson, with a little hop, skip, and a jump, wanted that 6-pin desperately.
He did. He got a little jump right there at the foul line. Had good speed on that shot. It was a nice shot. The ball just hooked up there a little sharp.
An aggressive shot. He was looking for the double.
He was looking for the 4-bagger.
Ooh, yeah. You're right. problem with the 6-pin, and now Johnson has taken an 8-pin advantage at the midway point. Joe, what about the plans next year here for Hall of Fame lanes? Anything you can tell us at this point?
Well, I would like to have Janet make whatever announcement we make, but we are looking forward to coming back, being invited back.
A highly successful tournament on the PBA Senior Tour. Excellent crowds all week long. This one a little high and tight. 6-7-10. We saw Kwolek make it in the opening game, but not a good shot for Handegard at this stage.
Ever since he left that 10-pin in the first frame, he just has not given the ball room, and he shot after that, or when he left it in the second frame. It looked like he moved further left on that shot, adjusted to the fourth frame that I thought was a bad shot. That was one cardinal rule I had in bowling, was never adjust to a bad shot.
I was going to say, in my game, I would have never adjusted. I'd have stood in the same spot all night long. Well, Handegard with a miscue now, trailing by 22. Still a possible 225 game, but he better get the whip out.
He better make some kind of adjustment right away.
Hooks early as well, and he went from hitting the pocket to being completely lost on 39 and 40.
Well, he's just unrattled. I mean, he's upset. Things are going through his mind. He's just not making the shots he's capable of making right now, and this is the result. Unrattled. Rattled.
Mm-hmm. Unraveled, perhaps.
Unraveled, yeah.
Well, a break and leaving just the 6. So it's a 22-pin advantage right now for Doug Johnson. But before we go to commercial, we'll head back to Bristol, get an update on the Pete Rose story at Sports Center.
Bob Lee in the Sports Center newsroom. ESPN has learned the details of the settlement, the compromise settlement reached between representatives of Pete Rose and Commissioner Bart Giamatti. Rose tomorrow morning will be given a 5-year suspension by Bart Giamatti, with provisions for clemency should he show rehabilitation from what obviously has been documented or allegedly documented in the public media for the last several months to be a form of a gambling problem. 5 years with provisions for clemency. At 9 a.m. local time in New York City tomorrow morning, Bart Giamatti will make that announcement. It has been 5 months and 3 days since the allegations of Rose's gambling first surfaced and baseball's investigation began, an investigation that continues even today, with the news that the baseball investigators in Chicago federal authorities are investigating Chicago bookmakers looking to see a possible link with Pete Rose there. Reuben Katz, Pete Rose's attorney, was in New York today, reportedly to iron out the details of this compromise settlement, a compromise that avoids a lifetime ban, but provides Rose a 5-year ban with provisions for clemency. We will continue to update you Sports Center at 11:30 Eastern Time and back to the bowling after this word.
Your man in Washington has come through. The Americans will be most displeased. Observe. The argon-activated radio outage laser light. Amusing, Boris, but the party demanded Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Where is Boris? He is enjoying a cold one.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
And the winner of the Pro-Am this week at the Hall of Fame lanes, James Ledford, a $600 check presented by Janet Bueller.
And I'm sure he appreciated that.
All right, Doug Johnson now in the 7th as he leads by 22, and Dorothy Johnson would never realize how many pins her husband leads by because she won't watch him play. She's looking the other way. And after that shot, I wouldn't blame her.
Well, first time, really, that he's gone high on lane 40. He had, let's see, he's had 3 strikes on that lane. The 6, he's had 9 strikes on that lane. So he's entitled, I guess, to an errant shot every now and then.
Of course, we've talked about the seniors next week in Texas City, the final stop on ESPN Summer Tour, but an outstanding fall schedule coming up. Commissioner Antonelli?
Yes, sir. We have 5 great tournaments scheduled beginning in the middle of October, Denny. running through the 2nd of December.
And, of course, a brand new event, an invitational event that will not be televised, featuring the men and the women professionals.
Mixed doubles in Reno in December.
Dorothy is looking the other way. Maybe she's listening for a strike. Oh.
Yep. And I don't know whether the lanes are breaking down and starting to go higher, or whether he's just getting a little tired, but suddenly he's creeping high on every shot.
Did you ever go through that stage, Mike, where you didn't watch your opponent, or did you watch him through the years?
I'd try to make like I wasn't watching, but I'd always peek and look, you know?
Yeah. All right, so a cross-lane shot of the 10-pin, a pair of 9-pin count spares. It's a 20-pin match, so Handegard's still in the wood, but he's going to have to get busy.
And he's got to give the ball room. He is just not giving the ball any room. He hasn't been light yet, except light in the pocket that didn't carry a couple of times.
Better shot there. Much the same as Kwolek got a bad break on the light hit. Handegard gets the same.
He made the adjustment. Actually, he moved further left with his feet, and he's playing right around the 10th board. The ball comes in light in the 1-3 pocket. The 5-pin shoots out of there in a hurry and goes in front of the 7, hits it, but doesn't knock it over.
Not real happy with that result.
No.
Well, they realized it was a key shot. Basically, though, make the spare and head on into the 9th.
Still alive, Denny. He has a potential score of 204. He would strike in the 9th and all 3 in the 10th. Doug Johnson's going at a 205 clip right now. See the difference? 21 pins Johnson has. Well, we haven't had a strike in quite a while. Handegard's only had 2 of them, both on the left lane, where he's at now.
Carried there. Well, he needed the break, and he gets the foundation shot in the 9th frame. Johnson steps up in the 9th as well, leading by 21. Gave it more room. Boy, he's come up with some key shots when he had to.
Well, that one was really key there,
sure,
because it keeps the lead at 21. Now, if he goes spare strike in the 10th frame, he shuts out Mr. Handegard. Of course, a strike, the first ball in the 10th, and the match is definitely all over.
Joe, we'd like to thank you for stopping by and spending a little time with us this evening.
Denny, thank you. It's a joy to watch you pros work.
Well, kind comments there from your boss.
Nice break. See the importance of that strike in the 9th frame now. He leaves just the 2-pin there. If he makes that and strikes on the fill ball, Handegard doesn't have a chance. If he would make this and get anything less than a strike, Handegard would still be in the ball game.
Johnson nearly leaving the baby split there as well. A 7-pin, the last to topple. Quickly up for the spare shot.
Little shaky.
He waited until it disappeared. So with a strike here, 205, and as Billy Whaley used to say, daddy lockups.
Daddy lockups. She's still not watching. She's looking at the score.
Well, I hope she watches if he wins. Now they're probably taping the show.
Right.
Then she won't watch it?
I'm sure she'll watch that.
One turns around dramatically, and you better believe John Handegard realizes the position he's in at this stage, and so does Doug Johnson.
Well, right now, he's thinking all different in his mind. He hasn't had a strike on this right lane. He's due. He has a chance to win, and that's what's going through his mind.
Threw a good shot in the 8th and left the soft 7.
Or to win, he has to have all 3 strikes.
was left from the get-go. So Doug Johnson at 61, the only super senior in the finals, ends up winning his second match. And Handegard will have to he'll have to be satisfied with fourth place this week. It's a shame that ball was left at target from the very beginning. Never really got a chance to trust it.
Well, Denny, we talked at the top of the show that he had to read the lanes quickly and make the quality shots in the pressure situations. John, so far on the championship round, has been unable to do that. His target is the second arrow, the 10th board. And you see that he's 1 or 2 boards left of it. This one will be relaxed and probably dead flush.
So Handegard with a strike in the final shot loses 203 to 184. And so Doug Johnson will move on to the semifinal game. Before we come back, though, with that one, we'd like to thank Commissioner Joe Antonora for stopping by here this evening. And also, coming up next, a special look at a special man. The man from Chicago, the Windy City, Carmen Salvino, when we return to the Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio.
If you're moving out of town, there is a way to see available homes before you begin traveling. It's the exclusive ERA moving machine, and it lets you see homes for sale anywhere in the country by tapping into ERA's nationwide network of over 2,200 offices. So, whether you're buying or selling a home, look to the right real estate company. Your local, independent ERA broker.
My athlete's foot kept flaring up. I'd put it out, and it'd just flare up again. Then my doctor told me about Tinactin. It cures recurring athlete's foot. Use it regularly, and it'll keep the fire from coming back.
Tinactin puts the fire out for good.
Fancy perfumey aftershave. It's got to be a quarterback soccer.
Real guys who get mud on their uniforms use rugged, honest stuff. Ice Blue Aqua Velva.
There's something about today's Aqua Velva, man.
So you still think linemen are dumb?
Interested in a better hand soap? That means I can go. I don't need no lava soap, no. Regular soap won't always work, but lava with hummus will. Interested? No, no, no. Lava. But don't try to cope without it, soap.
You had one black ball, you bowled, you traveled all over the country with one black ball, and you didn't even know the differences between the surface of the ball or the inside of the ball. You didn't know there was a weight block. You didn't know there was a core inside of the ball. I don't think there was very much knowledge around when I first bowled. There was a lot of telling. When I was 17, people told me, hey, kid, don't worry about it. You'll win someday. Then I won. Then I got to win, and people got to expecting me to win. Then when I became 40, people said, well, you had your day, kid. Don't worry about it. So then when I won, all of a sudden, it was a shock. They didn't expect me to win. Or if I played poorly, they said, don't worry about it. You've had your day. So now that I'm 55, nobody expects me to make the finals. If I make the finals, they say, my God, how's he do it against those kids? To me, looking in the audience and seeing people smile and have a good time at my antics makes a lot of it well worth it. Even when I don't cash, sometimes I'll just put on a little show for the people until when I walk off the lanes, it's still a positive. I come off with a high. And I think I enjoy that more than anything. To me, I want to be in control of my aggression. Now, that's different than being aggressive without control. When I'm bowling, if I'm too relaxed, I'm blob. But bowling, when I'm pumped up and I'm in control of that adrenaline, I've got strength that I wouldn't have sitting here. My eyesight is better. I can see sharper because my adrenaline's popping. But when I can control that, that's when I win. That's when I'm the best athlete out there that I can be. More sports are lost than won. That's why there's a lot of winners and few champions. You watch a football game or a baseball game or a bowling match or a golf match. A lot of times, one team will play poorly and the other team will win. Not that they were a great team, the other team was just lousy. You bowl a guy a match, he shoots 175, you shoot 185. You win the tournament, but are you really a champion? When I win a championship, I don't need drugs, I don't need alcohol. Nothing is greater than if my wife is there to hug her for the championship or get on the phone and say, Jenny, This is number 20. I want it, baby. I'm the best in the world for this week. Nobody's better.
Well, if you don't watch out, Vital will have to move over for the spook, Carmen Salvino. One great one from the Windy City to another one from Palatine, Illinois, when we return, Les Zikes.
How far can you drive your car on Phillips 66 Trop Arctic?
100,000 miles.
Just by changing your oil every 3,000 miles?
Okay, more than 100,000 miles.
Oh, sure, Trop Arctic can protect your engine in the heat and the cold, but over 100,000 miles?
How about 200,000 miles?
Come on, how far can you really drive on Trop Arctic?
250,000 miles so far.
Phillips 66 Trop Arctic. Long live your car.
Listen to my nephew. He's going to be a lawyer like me. He's even going to look like me.
Oh, really? So does that mean on his first big trial day, the jury's going to notice his winning smile?
Yeah.
His great suit.
Yeah.
Oh, his little flakes.
No, dandruff? Me?
Oh, it can happen to perfect people. Here, just use my shampoo.
Head and shoulders. But you don't have dandruff.
I rest my case.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
ESPN celebrates 10 great years of sparkling sports moments. 10 years that have made ESPN the #1 sports network in America. ESPN, first and 10.
And with me this week is the leader of the Ebonite Senior Championship, Les Zikes from Palatine. Les, in the last year, you've had an operation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, about 10 months ago, I had a hernia operation, and it came out fine. And I was off the game for a while. And when I came back, which the doctor said I was fine, I should come back, I just seemed I couldn't find it at all. I was lost. It took me a long time, and even up till now, to get back in shape. I think the main thing is that I'm not in shape, and I used to do a lot of jogging and everything, and I haven't done that anymore either. So I think the main thing, I'm not in real good shape.
You're not in real good bowling shape, you mean?
Yeah, I'm not in good enough shape to really compete out here, although I'm trying to get back in shape.
Well, you seem to be doing all right. Well, you know, you bowled on the national tour. You have a good record in the ABC. Tell us the difference between your game now and, let's say, 15 years ago.
Well, 15 years ago, I used to, well, before that, I used to hook the ball a lot on lacquer. Then I straightened out my ball like a Dick Weber did. And today, on these new finishes, sometimes I hook it, sometimes I don't. It's been a constant change, and I've been trying to keep up with the change, and it's been very difficult, really.
But the biggest difference is it goes a little straighter now?
Most of the time, unless I use certain bowling balls, it hook a lot, but it goes straighter than it did years ago, right?
I think that seems to be a proportion. As we get older, that ball goes straighter. What do you think about the competition on the senior tour? You still bowl some on the national tour. How does it compare to that national tour?
Well, I don't think the seniors can keep up with the regular tour because of the number of games. You know, like in the morning blocks, the seniors seem to keep up pretty good, and they come back and bowl at night, and that's when the younger guys really whip you because they're stronger and they can last longer, and they have that endurance.
That youth will be served, won't it?
It sure will. I found that out.
All right. What would winning tonight mean to you? I know you get a spot in the Tournament of Champions. Is that real important?
No, I never really gave that a thought. Just winning is today or next week or last year or 10 years ago. It's just a big thrill to be up there when they hand you that trophy. So winning tonight would be a real big thing for me.
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
That's what we're here for, and we're going to try this time.
All right, Les. Now, last week we had a tough time for you. You were bowling with Ron Palumbi. You needed a mark in the game in order to win that second game. You'd already won the first game, and you were finishing on that right lane. It was kind of an embarrassing moment. We're going to take a look at that shot right now as it's coming up. You needed this mark here, and probably an embarrassing thing for any professional bowler. You turned it a little early, and the ball was gone, and there's nothing you can do. My question is, as you left that spare and then missed it, how did you recover from that embarrassing moment to come back and lead this tournament?
I'm not sure I did. It's still on my mind, and I don't think I've ever embarrassed myself that much before, and I always said if I bowl enough times on television, sometime I am going to embarrass myself. But now that I did, I don't think I'm going to worry about it anymore. But, you know, I feel sorry for Ron Bellamy because we did have that game won, and I just threw it away. And actually, I didn't really take enough time to shoot the spare. I didn't get my wits together. I could have still won the game, and I think I just kind of threw the ball. I just got rid of it.
Well, I know that happens. You know, I can remember once leaving the 5-8-10 on national television, so don't feel like the Lone Ranger. You know, coming up in our next match, I don't want you to go away, but we're going to see the red-hot Jimmy Certain going against our super senior, Doug Johnson. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
One of the great advantages of doing business with a firm like Schwab is that you're dealing with professionals across the whole country. They're creating financial advantages for the individual investor.
I can't say which is better, the Schwab computer system or the Schwab people. But there's no doubt being backed up by the industry's most automated system gives our brokers a tremendous advantage.
You know, investors are smart. They know what they want and they know what to look for. Schwab doesn't try to sell them anything. I think it's a refreshing change from the usual. I mean, who would have ever imagined a brokerage firm without commissioned salespeople?
I tell people, come in and see us. If you need to talk to us face-to-face, we're here. That's why we have so many branches.
For a free booklet describing Schwab services, call toll-free 800-873-6400. That's 800-873-6400. Call Schwab today.
With all the things your eyes have to do every day, it's good to know that GE Soft Light is a warm, glowing light that's sensitive to the needs of a human eye.
GE is light. We bring good things to life.
These eyes will read millions of words, mostly in insufficient light. That's why GE made the soft white reader light, a soft yet brighter light.
GE is light. We bring good things to life.
So you think you've got big athlete's foot problems? Like that annoying itching. Oh, that awful burning. Well, Bigfoot problems call for Bigfoot relief from Desinex.
Desinex stops the painful itching, cracking, and burning of athlete's foot fast.
And Desinex guarantees you'll be satisfied or your money back.
Money back?
That's right, your money back.
Desinex, the #1 cure for athlete's foot.
And we're now ready for the start of game number 3 here in the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship. Jimmy Certain and Doug Johnson, who just keeps rolling along.
I just think it would be marvelous if a super senior won this event.
Well, he's wasted little time in disposing of Bob Kwolek and John Handegard, a pair of youngsters in this senior competition. And he comes out and tosses it right in the pocket against Certain.
And in between games, he went over to the practice pair and threw a few shots over there, trying to get his stroke settled back so he can make better shots on this left lane.
Well, obviously, he knows what he does well. I think that's a key for any player.
And he plays within himself, right? I think you got a good point there, Denny.
An excellent spare shooter. As you see our vantage point here this evening at beautiful Hall of Fame lanes in Canton, Ohio.
Look like some monster from outer space or something.
I'm Denny. That's Mike. For those of you who haven't seen us from the back. And, of course, that's Jimmy Certain out there, right behind his earlobe. Your ears are getting bigger.
Just like Dumbo the elephant, huh?
Boy, has this guy been good lately. Oh, my goodness. Wastes no time in throttling the 1-3 pocket and leaves the solid 10.
If he changes balls, which he is, going to a harder surface ball, shiny ball to shoot the 10-pin.
He and Brian Voss really suffering a tough defeat last week at the hands of Dick Weber and Mark McDowell in that championship game. They lost 243 to 226 in Buffalo, and they really bowled well. Lots of speed, will it hang on? No. So Certain comes out of the gate and makes a mistake right off the bat.
And so many times that happens. You know, a lot of people advocate not switching balls to shoot spares, although I would have to say most of the pros do, because of the different feel of the bowling ball. Now, he didn't lose this. In fact, if anything, he looked like he might have hung in it a little bit, but the ball just doesn't bite at this point and falls off just in front of the 10-pin. another shot at it.
Plenty of roll on both of his opening shots, and there's a look at his lovely sister. Jimmy winning his first ever PBA Seniors event in Las Vegas earlier this year.
And his first ever singles event as a PBA member.
No problem with that 10-pin. So Jimmy spots Johnson, an 11-pin lead.
Right out of the gate. See what Johnson does. The key for Johnson is hitting that left lane. He's having not much trouble with lane 40. There we see 10 of them on lane 40. Only 2 strikes on 39.
Make it 11. Well, he's been virtually unstoppable on lane 40. 39 has been the key, and he's thrown just enough strikes on that lane to get through the opening 2 games.
And to give you an idea, 10 strikes, he had only a potential of 12 on that lane. On lane 40, he got 10 out of 12. So,
well, in 16 years as a PBA member, his career earnings $38,580. If he wins here this evening, he'll have won nearly half as much. That one skidded a little longer and got the love tap from the 4. The 7 goes down, and the super senior continues to bowl just super.
He just can't do anything wrong. Watch the 4-pin. He gives it room. The ball is going to deflect. Watch the ball deflect. But the 4-pin goes, and just as you said, gives it the little love tap. And he's put pressure on Jimmy Certain right away as he smacks those hands. He knows how to run them out.
Wow.
Hey, this bowling on television is fun.
Well, the seniors do more of a soft shoe, I think, than running them out.
Well, I don't know. Weber last week was running them out.
Yeah. Well, we saw that one from close range and it hit the pins, and they all disappeared in a hurry.
Jimmy has good speed, good roll, but watch the follow-through as he comes through. His follow-through, it's like a shotgun thing, or a quick draw. As you see his timing, head very steady, and that's the end of the follow-through. That's all it ever goes, no higher than that.
Let's go with the ball well out on the lane. The ball is still on his hand, at about 3 feet out of the lane.
Still on his fingers.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
When he first came on the tour, that's what they called him, fingers, because his ball had so many reps.
Well, they stayed with this one. Comes up, and so Certain comes back with a double in the 3rd and the 4th. He trails by 11, but what he's thinking about is not 3rd place, not 2nd place, but $16,000 on top. That's what they're shooting for here in Canton, Ohio.
Ortho, air conditioners, pressure
Builder Square. We buy by the trainload. Direct from top manufacturers. There's no middleman, no frills, no membership fees. And at Builder Square, we won't be undersold. Ever. Builder Square, where the values keep rolling on. Because the more we sell, the lower the price.
Budweiser presents Tommy. The Who, live from Los Angeles. August 24th, the rock and roll event of a lifetime. The Who and the King of Beers, celebrating 25 years of rock and roll on one historic night. Tommy. Budweiser presents The Who. Tommy, only on pay-per-view television. Call your local cable operator for details. This Bud's for you.
And that gentleman on the right, primarily responsible for sponsoring the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship, the president of Ebonite International, Tom Malloy, and to his left, Bill Supper, who has basically turned the big 4-0. Not 40 years in age, he has lost 40 pounds here in 1989. He's the vice president of sales.
You heard you refer to him as some kind of miniature Dick Butkus last year, and he said he was going to do something about that. He got so much flack for that.
Well, I've prompted him, and obviously he's come back in a positive fashion. Billy Supper doing an outstanding job. Johnson rolls it up, stops it in the pocket, and this guy is making a believer out of me.
I wondered how long it would take.
Well, No disrespect intended, but when you mow down Kwolek, Handegard, and you put this guy in a pinch right there, you're doing some bowling. I mean, wouldn't you say he was the underdog in each of these matches?
Absolutely, but when you get 12 strikes on one lane out of 14 attempts, you know, you just get to steal something on the other lane, you got a turkey every time.
He's working on a 3-bagger, trying to make it 4. Gets near one knee, and Johnson comes back with a double of his own and leads by 31.
And he's really putting the screws to Mr. Certain. I mean, Jimmy has to be feeling the pressure down 31 pins in this match right now.
Well, Certain left the 10-pin in the first and then promptly missed it to the right, left another 10 in the second, and then doubled in the third and the fourth.
Almost falls off balance, does, and still strikes.
So a tiptoe act for Jimmy Certain, realizing he needed one desperately, and if we see the footwork on that shot, you'll be surprised.
Watch it here. He slipped all the way there. It's a miracle he didn't go over the foul line. Now watch the ball. He almost has a 7-9, and they both go down. Ooh, there he is, Grace.
Well, that looked like a 140 average bowler there, but Jimmy realizing he got away with one. Let's see if he can capitalize now on the left-hand lane. Will he wipe off his sliding shoe?
He already did. I'm surprised he doesn't go up and check and do a practice slide myself.
Well, he hasn't had trouble on the left-hand lane previous. There you could see him kind of cheat a little at the line. Runs that one out, just extended, and now Certain has a 4-bagger, and it's back to an 11-pin lead.
This is an opportunity for the Firestone Tournament champions. Les Zikes may not play a big part in his mind, but I think it is in Jimmy's mind. Talking to Earl Anthony about the approach there.
Rolls up a little high, and we haven't seen many of those on the right-hand lane. Pressure beginning to affect Mr. Johnson's game.
And where it does is speed. And the speed goes down maybe 1 mile per hour, and the ball creeps high. And again, when you're 61 years old and you got a short backswing to begin with, you know, you don't generate a lot of speed, and he just has to have that timing and the fluidity going up there so that he can get the proper amount of speed.
Dorothy realizing her husband is 2 for 2, but to continue the string, he's going to have to get busy here in the 7th.
He's had every break. When he's hit the nose, he's broken up the splits, leaves only the 2-pin there. Boy, the big shot of that match was when Jimmy slipped there and still got that strike. Right in the 5th frame.
Yeah, it was amazing he was able to maintain his composure, reject the ball, and get it close to target, keep the speed on it. Johnson with a spare of the 2-pin, but one senses the momentum changing a little bit. Certain trails by 8. If he strikes when we return, he'll take the lead.
After years of research, the high-tech laboratories of Columbia 300 have created the most advanced urethane bowling ball ever made. The 100% urethane Columbia 300 U-Dot. The extraordinary U-Dot solves the inherent problems of loaf and wobble. Its devastating pin power and superior lane control characteristics are unequaled. If you bowl to win, the Columbia 300 U-Dot is the ultimate weapon. It's like no ball ever made before. Sold only in lanes and pro shops.
A very big sale is now happening at your GMC truck dealer with over 80,000 new 1989 light-duty GMC trucks across the country. Fact, GMC Truck has made it easy for you to buy with a nationwide total of $68 million in cash back and dealer incentives. Fact, it's called the Big Easy Sale. Now, one more fact that really makes it the Big Easy. GMC Truck. It's not just a truck anymore.
Coming up on SportsCenter, Pete Rose and Commissioner Bart Giamatti may have struck a deal with Rose sitting out for at least a year for betting on baseball. Tom Gordon against Jim Abbott tonight in Kansas City, and Jim McMahon hits the start for the Chargers. SportsCenter at 11:30.
Well, I can't believe the season finale is coming up next week in Texas City, the $75,000 Hammer Senior Open, beginning at 9:30 Eastern Time, live on ESPN. It's been a great summer, and capping it off here in Canton with a marvelous championship round.
And Jimmy Certain would like to cap it off with a victory, but he has to get one more here to take the lead. Oh, boy. You just can't throw the ball any better than he's throwing it right now.
He's heating up. That's a 5-bagger that started in the 3rd and has now run through the 7th. He leads for the first time in this one by 2 pins.
Watching this time, now he had to be thinking about the slip last time. And he did slip a little bit. He kind of turned that foot, stayed with it, though. His confidence is probably greater right now than any time in his entire 23-year career.
To continue the string, and he does. This is the gang tackle of the 7 pin. So Certain now with 6 in a row, and he has taken command.
Jimmy's always been able to carry the light hit. And right here, we're going to see the 1 and the 5 go toward that 7 and just destroy it, or gang tackle it, as you said. And he's running off to the other end of the building here. High. Breaks it down for only the 8 pin. And suddenly Doug Johnson, who has bowled so well, is in big trouble.
Well, he's already defeated Bob Kwolek, 224 to 207, and John Handegard, 203, 184. And there you see pretty close to the average he had throughout the week in the championship round here tonight. But 213 might not be enough against Jimmy Certain.
Well, he still has a potential score of 246, Dan. If he gets this one in the 9th, he still has a chance. Jimmy Certain going at a 239 pace right now.
Better speed on that shot, but he leaves the 4-7, and
he's just shoveling it, and he just a little shot put follow through there, or shotgun follow through, and just not giving the ball room. And that's your tendency under pressure, is you're afraid to give it that room.
A spare up in the 9th. And it's a 15-pin lead for Jimmy Certain, who could abruptly close the door on Mr. Johnson here with a couple of strikes.
Yes, he could. Right now, Jimmy just basically needs 2 marks in the 9th and 10th in order to win this match. Decent counts. But the way he's hitting the pocket, I look for him to just keep striking. Ten-pin, very kind of safe shot. He gave it a little bit more room, wanted to keep the ball light, wanted to keep it away from the nose, knew it would get back. He makes this, he's 14 pins ahead, but he missed it once already.
But he's also had a chance to shoot at 2 of them.
That's true.
So he should have a pretty good feel for the lane.
Walked away from that one, knew he had it all the way.
I'm glad he knew it.
You didn't think so. And basically what he needs to do in the 10th is count 17. Some kind of 17 count. And he's going to have at least 235, which would be a winner.
Jimmy takes a look at the scoreboard, realizing what he needs here in the 10th to move on to the championship game against our top seed here this week, Les Zikes.
Right there. He's just bowling with so much confidence. We saw this happen to Pete McCordick last summer. Hadn't won, and he won 2 tournaments in a short span. In Tucson, where he came up to win, he won all 4 games. Just bowling with such great confidence when you finally do win and know you can win. And Jimmy just knows that he can win that one. And Doug Johnson knows that he's about to finish 3rd, which is still tremendous. Oh, he has performed admirably here this evening.
Certain rolls him up and gives it that popcorn shot, and with another X, he'll shoot 248. And that's enough to take this one home.
With an open.
Yeah, in the opening frame. Strung 6 strikes together from the 3rd through the 8th, and that was the telltale.
And basically, if he strikes here, he's going to wind up with 9 strikes and 3 10-pins.
And because we're running a shade behind, that's the last shot we'll see in the semifinal game. 245 for Jimmy Certain, and we'll be back with a look at bowling news here from the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio. Coming up next.
At Vic, we've been studying all the ways that you pull and stretch your face in search of a better shave. Now Vic presents our solution, introducing the new Vic Metal Shaver. The patented Vic Metal stretches and smooths your skin thanks to its unique metal guard bar, so the shaver glides closely and comfortably. Now, instead of stretching, start reaching for a new Vic Metal Shaver. It stretches your skin for a better shave, and that's no stretch.
Hey, what's with the 2 bottles? You gonna wash your hair twice? Oh, funny. It's shampoo and conditioner. Maybe you've heard of them. I use them, but I get them both in 1 bottle with Per Plus. Great. But I gotta use dandruff shampoo. Me too. And now there's a new Per Plus for dandruff. Let me see that. Dandruff shampoo plus conditioner in 1. Hey, my hair's clean, easy to manage, no flakes. Beautiful. So let's go.
New dandruff control Per Plus. Great hair, no flakes, no fuss.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Bowling News, brought to you by Pizza Hut, maker of pan pizza that's winning the hearts of America. And welcome back, everyone, to the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio. And while the touring pros are now wrapped up for the summer, I thought it might be an opportune time to get you updated on the top 10 money winners as they take off the rest of the month of August. Of course, Mike Albee still the hot player on the PBA National Tour. Mike continues to top the list with earnings in excess of $282,000. Del Ballard Jr. is still number 2, while Leto Monticelli, Pete Weber, and Brian Voss round out the first 5. Dave Ferraro of Kingston, New York, remains number 6 on the list, while Just Stayrook, Tony Westlake, Randy Peterson, and Jimmy Pensack fill out the top 10 through 26 events here in 1989. The touring pros will come back to bowl 5 national stops in the fall. Meanwhile, Dick Weber, after a 17th place finish here this week, continues to lead the senior career earnings list. Titus Semez remains a solid 2nd, while Carmen Salvino, Billy Walden, and our top seed this evening, Les Zikes, make up the rest of the top 5. Bill Beats, the winner of the very first ever PBA Seniors Championship, is number 6 on the list, while Glenn Allison, finalist Bobby Kwolek, Bob Perry, and Mickey Spezio round out the top 10, with one more senior event left next week here in Texas City. And, of course, while we're located here in the Midwest this week, Al Thompson, the headquarters regional director, has staged a number of events here in 1989. So let's get updated on who has ended up in the winner's circle. And as hard as it is to believe, Al Thompson actually cashed in that last regional event. Better check the hardness on his bowling equipment, guys. Right now, it's a special pleasure for me to introduce a man who has been involved in instructing the sport of bowling for well over 25 years. He's worked with some of the greatest professional players in the world. And now, of course, he is involved as the Team USA coordinator and instructor, Fred Borden. And, Fred, I know you're very excited personally to get an opportunity to work with some of the best amateur players anywhere in the world.
Well, Denny, you know, when I got the call from WIBC, ABC,
I had to pinch myself, to be honest with you. After the call was over and he asked me to get involved, it's truly an honor, and I humbly accept that challenge, and we're going to go out and work hard and try to make everyone happy and proud of Team USA.
Fred, I know that you had an opportunity to go out to the United States Olympic Training Center out in Colorado Springs, and what basically did the players work on physically and mentally out there?
Well, Denny, we got up every morning at 7 a.m. We worked till 11 in the evening, and that was for one solid week. We worked on different weightlifting programs, the proper food to eat the day of competition. We also spent a lot of time with each player on the videotape to work on their timing, their hand release, their arm swing, and also on different lane conditions. We bowled in a lot of different bowling centers. Boy, we put down some conditions. I don't mind telling you, I wouldn't want to try to average 200 on some of the surfaces they had to play on.
All right, Fred, I mentioned the fact you've worked through the years with Don Johnson, George Pappas, Larry Lobb, Mark Williams as of late, all the great players in the game. Compare the professionals and their talents now to the amateur players over the last year that you've had a chance to instruct.
Well, we had some great amateur talent on our team this year. Our Gordon Vatican, I think he must have had 4 or 5 300s this year. Finished 25th or 26th in the Masters. I think the difference between the two, Denny, is probably experience and time and grade. Bowling in that many tournaments. When you have 70, 80, 90 tournaments to bowl in, hopefully sometime you can rise to the top as a Don Johnson, and then once you get that feeling of winning, stay there. These amateur players are playing one solid year of amateur bowling, and sometimes they bowl in a tournament and they don't get to compete for 2 more months. But the difference probably is the professionals compete weekly. They're bowling 40, 50, 60, 70 games every week. The amateurs compete every couple of months, and they keep a full-time job to support their family and bowl at the same time.
All right, now let's get down to the brass tacks. This past week, you were in Milwaukee for the national finals for Team USA. A number of outstanding amateurs from all over the country ended up, and they bowled a number of games qualifying for match play, and then, of course, reaching the top 6. And now we're going to take a look at the top 6 men, the way they stacked up at the end. And, of course, leading the way, Tony Stipsack of Canton, Michigan. And qualifying number 2, Adam Apo. And the number 3 man, Mark Skier. And what can you tell me about the top 3 this year, Fred?
Well, Denny, I know that Tony Stipsack's probably one of the best bowlers in that tough Michigan Major League up there. He's Bowler of the Year in 1987. And you know that league just has a host of great players. And for him to be Bowler of the Year in Michigan, that's something. Adam Apo is a left-handed player, and he's also the first player from Hawaii that is qualified. And Mark Skier, you know, he bowled in the match play finals with a serious hip problem. I'll tell you, he bowled and showed some heart and desire that you won't see very often in sports, in our sport.
And rounding out Team USA, Rod McLean, a former Team USA member, and the national champ last year, Darryl Mizell.
Yes, and Darryl's a very, very accurate player. And our 5th player there, John Gano, he's a 19-year-old college student, and he is a star of the future. This guy can really bowl.
And what most people don't realize then, of course, is the top 3 players go and bowl a stepladder format, and Adam Apo ends up the national amateur champion. And a silver medal to Tony Stipsack, and, of course, the bronze to Mark Skier. And I know the men's team, very solid indeed. You had a chance to take a look at them in Milwaukee, but most of the experts are saying at this point, Fred, that the women's team may be the strongest ever assembled.
Well, Denny, I'll tell you, I'm just pinching myself to be able to think we have a team that great. Yes, all 6 players are just great bowlers. It's just going to be fun to sit back and watch them beat everybody.
And a number of holdovers as you take a look at the top 3 along those lines. Kathy Almeida from Blackwood, New Jersey. Maureen Webb made the team last year, as did Linda Graham. 3 very good players.
Yeah, you know, Kathy Almeida's probably won more WASA tournaments than anybody I know of. She's the very best player probably up on the East Coast. And Maureen Webb, what a player she is. She's, you know, and her husband's always there and keeps her game very sharp. And he's got a wealth of knowledge about our sport. And then you go to Linda Graham. Boy, she'll bowl and bowl and bowl, Danny. She's never in trouble. She's never out of it. She's always in the match. Linda Norrie was Collegiate Player of the Year last year. Linda's some kind of a bowler herself.
And Linda Kelly, a former player that qualified number 1 last year and ended up number 2 as the National Amateur Champ runner-up. So a very strong team for the ladies indeed. And when the top 3 ended up bowling for the national championship in Milwaukee this past week, it was Linda Graham that ended up on the top of the stack. She is the reigning national amateur champion. Kathy Alameda, the silver medalist, and Maureen Webb finishing number 3 and winning the bronze. So without question, this year, Team USA in 1990, the men and the women, an outstanding contingent. And your thoughts, what's coming up next and here in 89 for the Team USA members?
Well, Denny, we naturally go to the Olympic Training Center in January, and, you know, I can remember our trip last year, and we got up in the morning, and they have the big white bus parked outside, and on the side it said United States Olympic Training Center. And I don't mind telling you, that gave us the goosebumps. And that was the start of our team pulling together. And I'm looking forward to that happening again this year and getting out and training for a week. Everybody gets to know each other. We become friends. We unite as a team. And, you know, we have a lot of pride in our bowling team. We're going to go out and we're going to beat a lot of people. And hopefully the people across the United States can be proud of our team.
Well, I know one thing, without question, they will be well drilled and well exercised by the time Mr. Borden is finished up. Fred, thanks for stopping by and joining us here this evening. And that's a look at bowling news from the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame City. Coming up with more right after this.
Pepperoni Lovers Pizza asks,
why is everybody always picking on me?
just one bite and you'll know this new pizza is pepperoni paradise. 2 prolific pilings of pepperoni packed between 2 extra plentiful portions of cheese. It's Pizza Hut pepperoni picking perfection. New Pepperoni Lovers Pizza.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
You know why.
Making it great.
And a look at the other finishers this week. Don McCune from Munster's just missing, finishing up 6th. Los Oswald, the former champion in the 12th slot there. Billy Beach won the very first PBA Seniors Championship. Defending champion Earl Anthony at 16th. Mr. 300 Glenn Allison at 22nd. And another super senior, not a shortstop, Bob Perry, qualifying 24th. And here we go, championship game. Coming up next, Jimmy Certain and Les Zikes. And they will vie for the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship when we return.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I enjoy looking at ladies in bikinis just like the next guy. But when I buy a Sports Weekly, I buy it for one reason: to get the straight scoop on sports. That's why I read the Sporting News, America's sports authority.
It gives you terrific baseball coverage by 40 top writers on the scene where the action is, plus more stats and inside stuff than any other Sports Weekly.
So if you want swimsuit pictures, sailboat stories, or funny videos, better look somewhere else. But if you want the very best baseball coverage and weekly in-depth reports on football, basketball, hockey, and boxing, then be sure you get the Sporting News. Grab this great subscription deal. Find out for yourself why over 725,000 sports fans get the Sporting News weekly and get smart for themselves.
Call 1-800-638-1200 and get 29 issues of the Sporting News for 4 payments of just $4.99. You'll save 69% off the cover price, 40% off the regular subscription rate. Call now, 1-800-638-1200.
Last year, Ebonite took you to a new plateau of excellence on Oily Lake with the Thunderbolt. Now the Thunder rolls on with the new Thunderbolt MD for medium to dry lake. The same devastating power core and an exclusive new MD cover that makes it hunt down the pocket and hit harder with less deflection on medium to dry lake. Make some thunder of your own. Ask your pro about the Thunderbolt MD from Ebonite.
I send you for a Bud Light, and you bring back...
Well, if you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
So, there are no men here, there's an unlimited supply of Bud Light, and we can never leave.
Correct.
Because everything else is just a light.
We can live with that.
Yeah.
All set to go here from the Hall of Fame City. Jimmy Certain and Les Zikes for the championship.
And Les told me in the break when I interviewed him, you know, that he said the lanes are nice. If I don't do it, it's my fault.
Adrenaline's still going for him. And he's still lined up on this pair.
He's got new life as a senior. It's just,
you know what they say, life begins at 50.
Right. When you're a pro bowler, it sure does. I'll tell you what.
And a pro golfer, for all intents and purposes, right? Plenty of roll by Zikes in the opening frame. Excellent shot, and he leaves a solid 10.
Holds the ball waist higher, a little above. Slides that left foot out there. And pushes the ball out on the second step. Ball slightly early at that point. Has a tendency to beat him to the line. He says he gets in trouble when he gets his feet going too fast. And what probably happens is he pushes that ball a little quick, has to chase it to catch up, and loses the ball.
So a cross-lane spare up for Zikes here in the first, who remained first through most of this championship. Led the tournament from rounds 3 through 6. And look at Jimmy Certain. Started in 48th place, cut that in half, and then it was just grinded out from there on out.
Moved right up on the ladder, though. He bowled so well the last day. The last 2 rounds he bowled outstanding.
Yeah, Les said he really had to hold him off with a whip last night and barely finished ahead of him, but he got the job done. Zikes looking for his first strike in the championship game. Good speed, trips out the 4 and the 7 and gets the job done.
Les has that tendency to set the ball down at the foul line. He doesn't get this ball over the foul line at all. Right over the second arrow. Watch the 2-pin. Third from the left goes to the wall and gets both the 4 and the 7.
Double duty for the 2, and Certain, who struck on the left-hand lane to open the match, now tries lane 40.
And we see that he's hit lane 39. Far better than 40. I wouldn't have guessed that. Oh, my goodness, a solid 7-9. He almost left that the time he slipped. It was up there for a split second. What a bad break. I mean, leaving either one of those on that hit would have been a bad break. To leave them both.
Well, they'll have to shake off that break and get 9 out and move on. Boy, what a horrible, horrible shot and break for Jimmy Certain. Shot was terrific. Break was horrible. So throws it hard at the 7-pin. But boy, this doesn't happen very often.
Now we're going to get a look at it. It'll finish high in the pocket. Watch the ball drive right onto it. It's a little high. It drives through. Somehow a pin misses the 9, then misses the 7 both. And that's the result.
Well, you never would have believed that could happen. So now he'll have to shake off adversity and come back in the third. He trails now by a dozen. Shot of a true professional. Bounce right back and throw the ball in the pocket.
Boy, flush 7-9.
That'll give you nightmares.
And Les Zikes has to take advantage of that opportunity. You know, put 2 more strikes up on the board and really put the pressure to Certain.
Set it down a little short, rolls up. This time he carries the 10.
Actually, Danny, for Les, that's getting the ball over the foul line. That particular shot, it might not be for Jimmy Certain or something else, but he actually, for him, he got that ball maybe 12 inches over the line, and that's plenty for him.
Key double puts him up by 22.
Watch it here. See, just about a foot over that foul line, and it just was flush city all the way.
Trying to make it 3 in a row. He's going to need the light hit, and he gets it. So 3-bagger and a 32-pin lead. We'll be back with more after this.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision. A convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
Only Red Lobster could create an event this big. Lobster Fest 89. Lobster choices like nowhere else, starting at just $7.95. Don't miss out on sweet rock lobster. or luscious Maine lobster. New platters like lobster and crab. Great lobster dishes starting at just $7.95. Kids dinner $1.95. It all ends August 27th at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, it's our weekend special. Steak and shrimp, just $10.95.
Jimmy Certain in the fourth, trailing by 32. And it's almost a must strike, Denny. And he does it. He does it. That cuts it to 22. One more cuts it to 12. He has hardly missed the pocket since he came up.
And, of course, coming up next on SportsCenter, Bob Lee and Dan Patrick with the latest report in the Pete Rose case. Some new developments, so you'll want to stay tuned immediately following the championship round here at the Hall of Fame lanes. Certain works on a double. If he strikes here, it's back to a 12-pin advantage for Les Zikes.
And he's had a lot of strikes. He's had 7 strikes on this left lane, I believe. 7 or 8. Trouble. Good break to get 9 out of that, really. Such an errant shot. Just didn't give that ball any room at all. He's aiming right at the second arrow, and that ball hits left of the second arrow. That was the old give it room, but not too much.
Did he maybe get ahead of that shot a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Looked like he turned it way early. There we go. Nicely done. 23-pin advantage for Les Zikes, who works on a turkey as he stands up in the 5th.
It almost seems like that one shot in the second frame just took all of the momentum away from Jimmy.
Les Zikes with 2 career PBA titles, both in Waukegan, Illinois.
Has to hurry. And does. Boy, a little love tap slap as Mary Kay approves.
Oh, boy. Got that 10 out that trip, and that puts him in the driver's seat. He leads by 33. But Certain, as we have seen, ever dangerous, strung together 6 strikes to come from behind and defeat Doug Johnson. How can you shake your head no when you're on a 4-bagger? Good speed. Accelerated through the shot. Loved it all the way. So Zikes with a bit of a run out now has a 5-bagger working, and he leads by 43. He's taken command.
He certainly has. And it was interesting, his strategy to begin with. He wanted to finish on the left lane to get his score posted. He didn't want to have to finish the game out. He was going to make his opponent do that. And the way he's going, it's not going to matter. He's going to be so far ahead. Unless Jimmy really turns it around.
Better shot there.
Well, it's almost to the point that if you can do it with a pencil, you can do it with a bowling ball, and that he's got to just start penciling in strikes and doing it with a bowling ball, too, because he's down 43 pins. He just has to strike every shot.
Well, he could shoot 247.
That's right.
Unfortunately, Zikes, if he goes out, could shoot 290. There we go, graphically taking a look. Tell you, don't ever count Jimmy Certain out of the match. He's a grinder all the way.
All the way. But he's got to have this one. They've had a lot more room. And that's the result.
Now he comes back with a double. And it's now a 33-pin match.
See the difference between the last one. We saw with the last one on this lane here. Now this one goes over about the 9th board and out to maybe the 6th or 5th, and this rolls back flush city. Les going down and in, much more direct than Jimmy.
Keeps the speed up.
That's been the key. He's been getting that ball out of the lane with good speed, and he's just bound determined he's going to win. He's just thrown every ball in the pocket. Tripped 1 4-pin, left solid 10 in the first. He could have ball.
Back by 43. And he could explore new regions, make it a 53-pin advantage with an X here.
with the next here, you know, he puts himself in the position he just need marks to win, even if Jimmy Certain strikes out.
Little extra time here on the left-hand lane.
Down early on the Brooklyn. He looks back. A little deja vu there.
Mary Kay clapping, but just out of appreciation for her husband, not for the shot.
If you're going to make the mistake, make it big enough to get it over the left side. There's no split there. I mean, he's got an easy spare, the 5-pin, but he does get Certain a breath of hope.
Hard and straight. He looks like a little nervous to me. Oh, what a tough game this is. Certain down by 42, but if he strikes in the 8th and the 9th, it's a 22-pin match. This one's back and forth.
But
wow.
Again, he just has to strike every ball down.
Sure. Well, that makes it easy.
Yeah, in your mind, it does. Not necessarily an accomplishment. Will it hold? Yes! Oh! What a break there.
Well, yeah, but he had the worst break of the entire tournament on that lane, and it happened in the second.
Doesn't give this one the room. That one hit about the 10th board. Doesn't get nearly as far out. Watch the 2-pin. Gets that 4. He's saying, please hold. Come on, come on, come on. All right. I think he'll give this one room.
Trying to relax a little bit, bring the heart rate back down.
Exactly right, Dan.
It's tough when the heart's in your throat, though, isn't it?
Always was for me.
Yeah.
Gave it room. Here it comes. Didn't get the fingers. Gave it the room without the lift.
Trying to continue the heroics, but leaves the soft 2-pin. 8-pin fell forward for a moment, but Certain realizing there that was the key shot for him.
Had to have that one. Les needs a mark and 2 frames to lock it up.
So Certain, who's been virtually unstoppable since hitting the half-century mark at 50 in May, finds himself trailing by 33. Now can he forget the shot that he threw in the 8th?
Yeah, I think he will. He's just thinking slow feet and good speed.
Pops out of it, rolls up high and through the nose, and boy, did he get a break. Lester turns around, realizing that he could have left the baby split. Now he has only the 3-pin.
And that's enough. I mean, he's a little shaky. He's kind of stumbling to the foul line like Steve Young did in that run against Minnesota as he stumbled across the goal line. But he's going to finish, and he's going to win.
Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to know you just need a mark or two to get the job done. Slides it at the 3. And he's breathing a little more comfortably now.
Well, he's got 218 right now if he doesn't throw another ball. So he needs about 4 pins. Or 5. Well, he needs 7, according to our statistician.
Les Zikes approaching his 4th victory overall and his 2nd senior title. Doesn't need much.
That's enough right there. He's a winner.
And so Les turns around. I don't think the crowd has even realized at this point in time that he is the winner. Mary Kay looking up at the board, and she's trying to figure it out, but I think it's going to be one of these delayed reactions. If he picks up the spare, then for sure he'll know that he won. Hard and straight, so Les Zikes, the winner of the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship, and he collects $16,000 and a trip to the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
That's great.
Boy, you look at a guy who was so down last week in Buffalo, and now he's on cloud 9 in Canton.
And how just, 7 days, what a difference it can make. I mean, he walked out of there saying that he would never forget that, maybe never get over it.
And now it's the furthest thing from his mind. A 2:44 game for Zikes, who gets a nice handshake from the defending champion, Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. So Les Zikes all smiles at this stage, and we'll be back with the champion here at the Hall of Fame lanes in the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio, when we return.
Great, you're still open.
Joe, what can I help you with?
I'm looking for... Say, what's that?
It's the new Sports Illustrated video. ESPN's amazing Biff, Bam, Boom, Anything Goes bloopers.
That's some name.
And they mean it. It's the wackiest, goofiest thing I've ever seen. Look at this nutty football. These guys could use padding.
Oh, this looks great. And these guys could use sidelines.
What is that, lacrosse? Or kill the guy with the ball?
Ah, man, I bet that hurt.
You think that hurt? Try this stuff.
Ooh, now that is amazing. I've never seen so much wild stuff.
There's plenty more in this video. Hey, where'd the mountain go?
Oh, watch that guy go flying.
And that guy.
Hey, 2 hands for beginners.
3 points for him.
They must open up the secret vault to get footage like this. Now that horse is smart.
Come on, buddy, clean up your act.
Wipe out, wipe out, wipe out. This stuff is hilarious.
That's the craziest sports video I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot.
I'm sold. What's it cost?
I wish I could sell it to you, but I got it free with my paid subscription to Sports Illustrated.
Wow, I've been thinking of subscribing to SI.
Do it now, and you get SI at almost 50% off the total cover price.
You're kidding.
I just called their toll-free number and got 21 issues of SI, including their great football and baseball coverage, the big 35th anniversary issue, and the free 1990 swimsuit issue. I like it for the fashion.
Yeah, me too.
And I got the video for free, all for 3 easy payments of $9.95 each.
That's all it costs?
Like I said, it's almost 50% off.
So I get 21 issues of SI, including the free swimsuit issue and the preview issues for almost 50% off, and Biff Bam Boom free?
That's what I got.
Hey, thanks. I'm going to go call Sports Illustrated right now.
Hey, didn't he come in here for something?
And they're putting their hands together for the winner of the Ebonite PBA Senior Championship, Les Zikes. And we're going to have a quick close here. Tom Malloy, the president of Ebonite International, has a marvelous trophy for you, Les.
Les, on behalf of Ebonite International and the thousands of dealers and distributors of Ebonite products throughout the world, we'd like to congratulate you on your great win and present you this beautiful trophy. You did a super job.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank Ebonite and Janet Bueller for having us here at the Hall of Fame lanes. It's just been great, and we just love it here, Janet.
Well, Janet, last year it was a left-hander, Earl Anthony. Now you got Lester, who stumbled last week but came back strong here this week.
Yes, he did, and congratulations to you, Les, and we hope to see you back again next year. And here's your $16,000.
Why, thank you, Janet. That's real nice. Thank you. And I hope to be back here next year, and all of us. Thank you very much.
Well, I know just one quick question for you. Last week when you left Buffalo, you said, I'd never forget it. It's the worst shot I've ever thrown, but this has got to make it a little easier.
It was the worst shot I've ever thrown. Very embarrassing. Yeah, you know, this is very gratifying coming back here today and throwing at least a few good shots anyway. But things worked out.
Just goes to show you what you can do when you persevere, and he's done that for many, many years. So long, everybody, from the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio, your winner, Les Zikes, as he defeats Jimmy Certain for the PBA Seniors Championship. The championship round finals of the $115,000 Ebonite PBA Senior Championship have been brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.